up, everybody? Welcome to another Wingin IT podcast. Andre, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Usually I am though.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. So, tonight before we get started, we are freestyling this week, so it's gonna be completely at random. And yes, I will be bringing up Redfall. So, round two of the BIPOC Streamer Awards voting starts tomorrow. Link is in the description. It goes from May 6th to the 24th. So please, people, we need your help to, because we up for the chatterbox. So
Hmm.
not only us, but anybody else that you like that's in the categories, please vote. Make sure you vote. That starts tomorrow. Link is in the description if you're on YouTube. BIPOCStreamAwards.com is if you're on Twitch, for some reason Twitch won't let me do it, so whatever. There's that. So what's playing, Andre?
I've been playing Dragon's Dogma. Just played this game today called Crow Country. That looks kind of interesting. Um, and I played Virtual Fighter 2 a little bit this week.
Man, I miss Virtual Fighter.
I mean, it's not. I kind of wish that they catch up a little bit more, like where Tekken is, and they would do a crossover because that's been something that's been hinted at for years and ain't never happened.
Yeah. But yeah, I do miss Virtual Fighter. I've been playing more Tales of Kenzera. Jump back into Tears of the Kingdom because I want to test out my flight machine, and I haven't gotten it to work yet. So still working on that. So there is that. I also was playing around with Astral Chain a little bit too. Astral Chain, that's one of those games where if there was a game I wish more people would play, it would be Astral Chain. I think people would like it if they have a Switch and want to pick it up. I think it's one of those games that needs to be in the library, on your Switch library. So that's one of those. And I think that's pretty much it. That's all I've been playing. So Tales of Kenzera, Tears of the Kingdom, and Astral Chain this week. So next week will
All
probably
good
be
game.
something different. I'm actually wanting to get into Atelier Ryza, just because I heard how good it is, but I'm probably just gonna get 3 because I don't see the point getting 1 and 2 because I don't have time to play through all of them. I just don't. So
I
I'll just
mean,
get the latest one.
apparently it suffers the same issues that Xenoblade suffers, and that's anime titties.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, like the whole thing with like Eve from Stellar Blade, and I'm sitting there like, y'all got mad at Bayonetta 2 because Cereza had the different outfits, and really the only two y'all really got mad at was Princess Peach and Princess Daisy. Because I'm not gonna lie, they were wrong, but it was hilarious. It was hilarious to me. To me, it was funny. So I'm like, I'm just like, I don't get why people get mad, man. Especially if you're an adult, that shouldn't really affect you. But people let it affect them. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just like 2B in Near Automata. I ain't care nothing about. I was too busy trying to do combos and beat stuff, worrying about her skirt being short, or you can have this thing where you can blow her skirt off and you can see her walk around with a thong. Like, I ain't trying. That I'm grown. I ain't 13 no more, dude.
You don't really care.
Yeah, my hormones ain't all over the place like that. So it ain't that serious. Like, I'm sitting there looking at Eve, but then you got people who, like that dude that was just showing Eve going up and down the. I'm like, bruh.
Like, why?
Why are you doing that, dude? Like, you don't look cool doing that. You actually look stupid. You look lame doing it. And so I'm like, maybe you trying to go viral. I don't know, man. Because nowadays, that's what most of this stuff is. People trying to go viral. They're trying to go viral. That's the thing that I don't understand. I'm like, you're trying to do stuff to go viral, which makes no sense. And Dark Boy, yeah, the funny thing about that Dark Boy, I liked the costumes. I thought they were cool. That's why I wanted them to come back in Bayonetta 3. I really did want them to come back in Bayonetta 3, but just this time do like other characters, like have a Zero Suit Samus one, have a crystal one from Star Fox Adventures. That'd really piss people off if they would have did that. Have a twin tail costume from Arms. That would really piss people off. So yeah, I thought it would have been cool if they would have did it for Bayonetta 3, but yeah, they didn't do it. Kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion. So
yo, Debo.
Hey Vicky, how you doing? Thanks for the raid. Appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. So got a question for you, man. What the hell is Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance? Is that DLC? Is it an addendum? Is it the same game? What is it?
All of the above?
I mean, I don't. I'm like, bro, is it the same game? I don't know what it is.
The way they have described it, it could be the same game with some enhancements and some extra stuff, or it could be a completely different game in the same location. The way they've described it, it's too ambiguous, and I have not spent the time to find out. To be honest,
I was just confused. I was just like, so am I supposed to buy it, or am I not supposed to buy it?
I don't know. I guess. See, this is the problem with Atlas. Like, why are you making so many editions of the? What y'all getting Capcom syndrome?
Yeah, because I thought because my thinking was if this is for like the PlayStation, the Xbox crowd, that makes sense because they didn't get the game at launch.
Yeah,
the Switch crowd, shouldn't they just get the actual DLC part?
Yeah, they should, but that's not what Atlas is doing. It don't make any sense.
Yeah, they're trying to make you pay for a whole game. Like, bro, we already got it.
That's why it's so weird to have so many games that fall in with the same name, but then sometimes they have changes and sometimes they don't. So it's like, why do you do all this?
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. All right, Dark Boy got a question. All right, so I read about this. The canceled DK game. I wish Jack was here.
Yeah, that'd be all over his old forte there.
Here's the thing. This is reason number 891 why I hate Bobby Kotick, because I'm pretty sure this was a Bobby Kotick call.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. It definitely fell into his reign.
Yeah, so if Vicarious Visions wanted to make it, this is one of those times where I'm like, I would not be mad if Nintendo would have bought Vicarious Visions. I wouldn't have been mad.
But my thing is, it would have just straight up been free money for them because Nintendo would have been paying for it.
Yeah, so I'm like, why wouldn't you do it?
Like, Nintendo would have paid for it. They would have overseen it. All that would have happened is that they'd be borrowing your team to do it. It's literally free money for you.
And they got how many teams working on Call of Duty? But he pulled them off to work on Call of Duty.
They had already had Sledgehammer.
Yeah. Infinity
Ward, and
I forgot who the other one was.
It was three of them. It was Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward. Damn. Why am I forgetting the third one? It don't make a difference. They still had three top-notch teams working on Call of Duty. They could have let up somebody else to go do something else.
Yeah. And from what I understand,
you are not getting my tea, little girl.
The way they described it, I like the premise. I like the premise of it. The premise of it made sense. The 3D kind of, it wasn't on rails, but on vines, I guess you could say. Except when they explained it, it was like it was 3D, but it had like traversal options and stuff like that. I'm like, that was actually not a bad idea from what they were explaining, but Bobby Kotick strikes again. Yeah, dude, I know people get mad when I say this. I have no problem with Microsoft buying Activision. To hell with Bobby Kotick and that original crew. Like, I mean,
as we've said before, it's plenty of people that don't want to acknowledge that there needed to be a bigger company to buy out Activision to remove him because of that payout that was in his contract.
Yeah, that's the only reason we're going to get rid of. That's the only reason we're going to get rid of him. And if you think for 1 second that if Sony had the money, they wouldn't have did it.
Oh yeah, they definitely would.
They would have definitely did it.
They would have taken it. The reason that they fought so hard against it is because they didn't have the money to do it.
And you know, Google and Activision and Amazon, Google, Amazon, and Apple and Tencent was licking their chops.
Hey, I'm glad it definitely didn't go to Tencent because that would have been the worst possible outcome.
I'm glad it didn't go to Google. You know how Google is.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, we got it. We got this 2 years later. Yeah, we don't care about it no more.
We just completely shut them down.
Yeah.
You won't have Call of Duty anymore for those that actually like it. You won't have Call of Duty anymore.
Or anything else for that matter. Overwatch, yeah, we kind of don't care. So nope. You better hope somebody buy it.
At that point, y'all gotta hope that Amazon takes the time to do it.
Yeah. And then Amazon, you ain't gonna be able to play it unless you get Amazon Prime. So it's like my Amazon Prime.
Dark Void is right. Amazon, Apple could have bought them.
Yeah,
but I don't know if Apple was looking at them. That's the problem.
I think Apple was looking just to see like if they get if the U.S. says they ain't gonna let Microsoft buy them.
Can we?
Here's our little beer right here.
Like, hey, Microsoft can't get them. Let us go ahead and throw up a bid.
Yeah, let's put this.
We technically are not in the console space.
Technically. Yet. And we don't have Apple Arcade anymore. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Here's this blank check. You add how many zeros? We got it. That's pretty much how that could have went. But that's why I was always like, look, I don't like it, but I'd rather it be Microsoft than anybody else. At least I know Microsoft's in the gaming space, at least. So I understand why people didn't like it, but at the same time, like that was the only way he was going to get that guy out of there, and he needed to go. That's just the bottom line. So, yeah, it is what it is. But I was reading. There was another thing that happened this week too that I thought was actually pretty interesting. That we kind of talked about a little bit, and that was the whole Square Enix and their money woes. Bruh. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad, dude. It was 220 million in red.
And people keep trying to get them to make all these. And for everybody that says, it is their overspending that's causing the problem, and too much focus is on Final Fantasy. That's true, but the focus is on Final Fantasy because that's what everybody keeps asking for.
Mm-hmm. So they would Capcom Resident Evil. And my thing with Square though is like, okay, because and I've said this before because I used to be one of them idiots back in the PSP, PS Vita days where they made an OVA, a movie,
go buy everything.
You had to buy all of that to get the story of whatever Final Fantasy they was making. Like, bro, you shouldn't have to do all that.
No.
If you want to make a movie, make a movie. If you want to make a game, then damn it, make a game. And you don't have to spend $200-300 million to make a game. You don't have to do that.
Nope.
You just don't. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy VII Remake should have been multi-plat.
Yeah.
It should have been. I know people don't like hearing that, but the fact of the matter is it should have been for how much they're spending. Now, if they weren't spending that much, then you can say, okay, let's just say it was only $75 million to make. Then maybe you could have it on Sony platform by itself exclusive, and it'd be fine. But
then they paid that money back.
Yeah, most of this stuff, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, bro, you kind of have to. You're not gonna make that money back. You're just not. The way y'all got this set up, you're not gonna make the money back. I want them to do well. I want it to do well, but dude, Sony, they gotta stop. Well, not Sony, Square gotta stop doing this. They just gotta stop doing this. And I'm happy that their new board came in and was like, look, man, we've gonna have to take a good hard look at what we got, and like some of this stuff would get canceled. And it should get canceled. I hate that, but it should get canceled so they can right this ship. Hopefully that does not affect Team Asano because I love the HD 2D stuff. And I think that's one of those avenues where I think they have done well in the past few years. Live Alive, Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Triangle Strategy. All those games are actually really well done. And I like the fact that they are fun games. Tokyo RPG Factory, I think Square Enix got them too. They've done some cool games. But it's one of those situations where I think they need to go. They need to be multi-plat. Just because if your games don't cost that much, then you need to get them to as many people as you can. Straight up, because having those games cost that much, and especially like the PS5, I think the PS5 don't even have that many consoles out in the wild, and you're not gonna make that money back unless something crazy have people buying 2 or 3 copies, and I don't see people doing that. I don't. So when they say, "Hey, it's not meeting sales expectations," I'm like, "Yeah, what did you expect when you basically say it's only for PS5? You got like 100 and I think it's 130 mil, 140 mil PS4 sitting out there. You probably should have made sure that it could run on PS4 as well. It may be a little bit of a downgrade, but give people the extra stuff on PS5. But I would not ignore the PS4, especially in that situation, if I know that this game needs to sell a certain amount. I make sure that PS4 could have it as well, because you got way more PS4s than you do PS5s out in the wild. 118, that's still more than PS5. So it's still more than that. So and to be fair, the PS4 Pro shouldn't have a problem with Rebirth. It really shouldn't. That's why I always thought it was interesting that they pretty much were trying to be like PS5 only. I'm like, but do you have to? Do you really have to? And apparently, I guess they have to try to justify the PS5. So I probably wouldn't have did that just from just knowing how much it costs. If I was at Square, knowing how much it costs, I would have been like, look, we got to make sure we can at least get it on the PS4 Pro at least. That way, because we still have that many out in the wild, we can at least make some money off that. We'll get something. But yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. But hopefully, I know something's gonna get. I know a lot of stuff's gonna probably get dropped. I don't think Dragon Quest is gonna get dropped though. I don't think Dragon Quest 12 is gonna get dropped. I just don't see that happening. Because that shouldn't be that much of a financial hit. And on top of that, you can bring that to multiple consoles. So yeah, there's that. I haven't heard I haven't heard that the PS5 has a problem running it. I don't think everybody's. I think they overestimated people buying it. I think they overestimated people buying it. So that's what I think. Because once again, you also got to think there's a lot of stuff out, and some people just like, look, you got to pick and choose what you want, and some people will come back to it, especially if you know that during the holidays or during the holiday time, it'll be on sale, because they will throw stuff on sale real quick to make sure they make their money back. So there is that. Dark Void, I don't know if there's a PC version, but there's probably going to be a PC version coming soon. Just after reading that article, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a PC version of Rebirth. What do you think, Andre?
It honestly wouldn't surprise me. Mostly because they gotta make that extra money somewhere, and it's simple enough for them to just go ahead and take it and just port it over to PC.
Yeah, I mean, they got to do something. So that's just one of those situations that they really have to do something, and I think that's one of the things they're gonna have to do. I've always said they should have never not had it on the PS4.
Nope, they shouldn't have. Shouldn't have skipped it.
I mean,
but they also shouldn't have put so much focus on the graphics over
Everything else.
everything else. It just backfired on them.
Void, I would say no. I would say no. Now, once again, if the successor has that, if they want to do that, that will probably be smart because Nintendo is big in Japan. So at least the home country will probably, jump on it. I know a lot of people over here will,
Yeah.
but I think that's what they're thinking. So maybe, but I wouldn't. I don't know if Sony lose their top if they say they're going to do one on Switch on whatever the successor is. I just don't see that.
Nah.
Yeah. So all right. So I want to show y'all this because we got into that. We got into a little bit of a situation, as it were, with when we did a live stream last year about doing one of the Xbox presentations, and we did not. I have to go back and say this because we did not hate on this game. We got accused of hating on this game.
No,
we did
told
not.
Jokes.
All we did was tell jokes, and all I said was, "Hey man, this look a lot like Left 4 Dead." And so we voiced our concerns. Me, you, Andre, Jack, and Sandstone all voiced our concerns about Redfall.
Well, no, I think you said Left 4 Dead, but I think you mean Back 4 Blood.
No, Back 4 Blood. Yeah, Back 4 Blood.
The unstable position.
Yeah, it was the same thing. But so we call hell, essentially. And judging by this article, and this is over on Pure Xbox, 1 year on, Xbox Vampire Misfire Steel X Bite.
That's a harsh title too.
That's a harsh title. So one of the things they got mad at was the fact that it was fixed at 30 frames per second. First of all, I don't even think that's a bad thing. I think a lot of times people get hung up on this FPS. And yes, if somebody tells you that, if you can't see the difference between 60 and 30 frames per second, you're lying. You need new eyes. First of all, if you can tell the difference consistently between 30 and 60 frames a second, why can't you tell that in Witcher 3 or Nier Automata at their original release? Because both of those games didn't run at 60 frames a second. You were told they were not.
No, they weren't.
So you can't tell the difference between 30 and 60 frames a second. Just stop lying. Unless you got software to actually run with it, you can't tell via the eye test. You can't. And on top of that, I would take anything 30 frames a second if the gameplay is smooth. Gameplay is smooth, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference. Am I lying?
Well, if it's smooth, it's not going to make a difference. That's another thing.
Yeah. So, but they've already had like a lot of issues with it, and some of them did get fixed, but it was released once again in a buggy state, and it, from what this article says, a lot of that stuff still hasn't been fixed. So a lot of the glitches still haven't been fixed. Some of the issues with the weapons still haven't been fixed. And you can read it over on Pure Xbox. But I thought it was funny just because all the hell we caught for just saying, bruh, it just reminds us of issues that we've seen on other games. And people got all of their feelings.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did.
And now we got people crying about Paper Mario, like Wilton said.
I get that. Yeah, the GameCube one was 60 FPS. Okay, it was no big deal, but it doesn't need to be that for you to get the same experience. But then you got people running around. Oh well, if it's running at a lower frame rate, the input's not going to work the same. Yes, it can, because if you prioritize your controls over your frame rate, it's not going to make a difference.
Nah. And on top of that, the reason why it was 60 frames a second because you weren't in 1080, you were in 480p.
480p.
That's why
Actually, in most cases, 480i.
Yeah, Tales of Symphonia ran at 60. Super Mario Sunshine, I think Super Mario Sunshine ran at 60 if I'm not mistaken. A lot of those games ran at 60, but because it was 480p.
That, and we're also talking about assets that are far different from the ones that are in the GameCube original.
Yeah.
The game was rebuilt from the ground up with newer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a difference.
There's gonna be a difference. What frame rate would Switch version run on a GameCube?
Maybe 10 frames, if that.
Yeah.
If they could crank all that in there and get it down to 480p, probably 10 frames a second.
Yeah. So
now the inputs would still work fine because they prioritize the inputs over the frame rate.
I'll say about this whole frame rate situation. One of my favorite games runs at 15 frames a second.
Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. But the gameplay smooth. Yeah. You don't care. You shouldn't care because you're playing the game. So the problem is the reason why Sony and Microsoft had to tell everybody specs is because the Wii was beating the brakes off the PS3 and the 360. Yeah, so they had to give people a reason to buy it. So that's why the term hardcore came up. Hardcore gamer came up because they were trying to say, hey, look, casuals play the kiddie system. We got the system for the real core hardcore gamers, the people that pay attention to specs and stuff like that. And people didn't even understand what they were seeing.
Nope. And even
they
then,
still don't.
Even then, what they were saying was to draw in the casual audience because the technical hardcore audience doesn't give a crap about the specs. They care about the experiences of the games.
The real ones do. Everybody else though, but that's when you start getting all the influences and they keep repeating it. So you have repeat, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm.
I want Wilton, Daytona on the Sega Saturn plays like a dream at 30 frames per second. But you wouldn't know the difference because the gameplay prioritized the inputs over the frame rate. Mm-hmm. And for people that don't understand this, when a game prioritizes the frame rate over the input, then you're going to have input lag if the frame rate slows down. But if you prioritize the inputs over the frame rate, when the frame rate slows down, you will not have input lag. Your inputs will still work. That's why in Ocarina of Time, if you can see that game hit like 12 frames per second, but your inputs still work on command when you push a button.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, my favorite game runs 15 frames a second.
Well, it can get up to 20.
Yeah, possibly.
It gets up to 20 in the big empty rooms.
Yeah. But you don't care about that when you're completing a puzzle. You don't care about that when you're fighting Ganondorf and you got to get out of the damn Ganondorf's tower in 2 minutes, or that whole thing is burning up and blowing up behind you.
Oh yeah, well you're right. 20. Look, between 20 and 30 ain't much of a difference. It's close enough.
Yeah. So it's just one of those situations where you're like, dude, I understand that people want to, talk about it, but I'm like, a lot of y'all are using that as an excuse not to play a game. And is it really that serious? Most times it really ain't. Mm-mm. It really ain't. So I'm just sitting back thinking, I'm like, this whole 30 versus 60 versus 120, and I'm sitting here like, I remember when people was coming out talking about, oh, if a game if something's not 60 frames a second, I can't play it. It hurts my eyes. But you just talked about loving Doom. Dune is a movie that runs at 24 frames a second.
It was like you can't watch movies, you can't watch TV, you can't even look at your phone screen.
And on top of that, you said you a Dallas Mavericks fan. Basketball on TV is not ran at 60 frames a second.
Nope, that's still 24. Unless the channel proprietor pays the extra money to have it done at 48.
They're not going to do that. So they're not going to not charge you. They're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. Hell, people got mad when The Hobbit was in 48 frames a second at the theater.
Yeah, because it looked
pissed
funny.
Off mad. Yeah,
it looked funny to him because it was the movement. Like think people said, move too fast.
Yeah, like, but you can't watch anything unless it's 60 frames a second.
That's weird. Like that means you cannot look at nearly any you can't look at any monitor that is not displaying at 60 hertz at the very least.
Yeah, you can't. J Biggs, that's how you know most people have no idea what they're talking about.
That's another thing. Like when companies tell you a game is doing a certain number of frames per second, most people don't have TVs or monitors that are capable of displaying at that level. And people are like, well, my game is running at 120 frames per second, but you sitting there with a monitor that does 60 hertz, maybe 75. Yeah. So what difference does it make to you?
Yeah, and like, because the monitors I have right now are 27 inch, but they're 1080p because I wasn't paying an extra $200 for the 4K version. No, I'm not doing that. Because those 4K monitors at the time when I bought this one, this 32 inch. No, this is 32 inch. The 32 inch monitor. That those monitors was like $500-$600 for the 4K version with the 60 hertz and all that. I wasn't paying all that. 1080 works just fine.
Yeah, so works plenty fine.
Yeah. So I don't need like that. So a lot of people don't understand it. And like when you're buying a TV, you have to look at all that stuff too. A lot of people don't know that. Like a lot of people went and got 4K TVs that really can't do the refresh rate. So their refresh rate's low. So they really ain't running stuff the way they think they're running it. Because there's a lot of stuff you have to do if you want to get to that level of fidelity. There's a lot of stuff. That's why I laugh when I hear all these people saying, they talking about running stuff in 8K. You know, most TVs don't run 8K, right?
And if you get an 8K, you spending $7,000-$8,000.
Yeah. And most TV stations ain't gonna pay for 8K.
No, they ain't.
Because they're going to pass those savings on to you. Notice savings. Yeah, I mean, that's why I never understood why Microsoft and Sony put 8K on the box. I never understood why Phil Harrison, when Google Stadia was out, kept talking about 8K. I'm like, why are you talking about 8K? Why? Like, there's literally no reason for you to talk about 8K. Most stuff can't hit 8K right now. Like, stop bringing that up. All you're doing is making stuff bad for the industry you're supposed to be a part of.
Yeah. And Stadia went by the wayside anyway, so it didn't make much of a difference for them.
We kind of knew about that one too. We were like, I don't trust Google right now, and especially since you can't explain to me how the pay scale works. Am I buying this game? Is it mine?
You buying it for it to be taken away?
Yeah, in
2 years.
And wait a minute, I still got to pay you monthly for the service, but I got to pay for the game separate. What? So yeah, Stadia had a lot of stuff that was just like, okay, I don't know if I can support this right now, just because I don't think y'all telling me the truth.
Stadia had plenty of misfires.
Yeah. Which, once again, and this goes back to the whole Microsoft thing, I don't want to see anybody leave, because I know how it was when Sega left the hardware space. It was not good. It wasn't good for us when Sega left. So if anybody's happy about the whole Microsoft going third-party situation, I'm like, y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that. The only way I would be cool with that is if Sega comes back. If Sega turns around and comes back because of it, okay, cool. But
I don't think that's gonna happen though.
yeah, but us just having two, just Sony and Nintendo.
I honestly, with that, I get the feeling the Apple will probably step in
to try to fill the void.
Yep, I get the feeling it's going to be Apple. They've
Apple
already
have
positioned themselves with a bunch of stuff anyway, so it makes sense for them to do it.
And hopefully, Apple will have a better game plan than Microsoft, because Microsoft's game plan of buy every game company and then have them put out trailers for games that never come out. Everwild, Perfect Dark. The list goes on and on. I'm like, bruh, y'all bought all them damn studios and they got nothing to show for it. Look, man, if you're not gonna do nothing with the rare titles, can you give them back to
Nintendo, please?
Like, yeah, if you're not gonna do nothing with them, if you're not gonna do nothing with them, just give them back to Nintendo.
Or at the very least, license them out to Nintendo. Like, do something. Because y'all just sitting on them for no reason.
I would love to see Retro make a Jet Force Gemini or Perfect Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know it's not a Stanford Brothers that's that rare anymore, but I would love to see them do that. I would love to see, like, you know, somebody take hold of Conquer and have some fun again. Because Conquer is a fun game, but yeah, it's strictly not for kids. But
no,
game.
No, it is not.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, if you're not gonna do nothing with it, bro, and I'm still trying to figure out what the world's going on with Perfect Dark.
Nothing.
The last I heard, they got rid of the whole team. They pulled what Nintendo did with Metroid Prime. Like, look, we got to start over from scratch. Well, they brought in Crystal Dynamics to help out.
Oh, but that didn't last very long.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the world is going on with it? And then the director and the writer left. So I'm like, okay, dude, this is crazy. So what's going on with this? Because it shouldn't be that hard. Shouldn't be.
I mean, hey, if Microsoft is willing to listen, I would take up the job of writing the story because I know I could come up with a good story for Perfect Dark.
I mean, as long as it ain't Perfect Dark Zero. I mean,
I didn't say. Why did you bring that sin up? I didn't say nothing about that.
I have to, dude.
I said Perfect Dark, and I held it there. I was not talking about a fictional past with a character that could not exist in the same universe.
I had to, man. You know, I have to bring that up every time Perfect Dark comes up. I have to.
You don't. We don't have to bring up that pain. We don't.
Yeah.
Like I'm still trying to figure out how y'all gonna turn someone who was British American.
Yep.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
I mean, they could have said she was her cousin or something. Like,
could have been just a completely different universe. If you want to do it, different universe, just different universe. All y'all had to say was a different universe.
They didn't say that.
They try to act like one leads to the other, and it don't.
It makes no sense. Story-wise, it made no sense.
Makes no sense.
No sense. So I always thought that was hilarious, but yeah, I'm just like, I would love to know like what happened to that game. Also, I would love to know what happened with Metroid Prime 4, and can I please get Metroid Prime Remastered 2 and 3, please, so I can get Corruption.
That'd be very helpful. Also, Samus Returns HD, please. That would be very nice.
Yeah. I mean, while we asking for stuff, can I get the GameCube NSO, please?
Mm-hmm.
So I can do something with these GameCube controllers I got.
Yeah, like can we go ahead and throw Geist and Eternal Darkness on there? I don't really care for it, but give Smash Melee fans that game officially.
And take the wave dash out just to make it hurt.
I mean, they ain't gonna do that because
take it out, take Sakurai, take it out, and then do a whole direct Sakurai and count in binary again, just for them.
Nintendo pettiness 101.
101, because I mean, at this point, I don't know why they hadn't done it yet. At first, I thought it was just a licensing issue. maybe. But I'm like, no. What about the games that y'all own? It shouldn't be a licensing issue if y'all own the games.
Well, it depends because it depends on who was employed with them and if they retain any rights to music or sounds.
I don't think
Now
they had that
that could
problem.
cause a problem.
I don't think they would have that problem with Star Fox Adventures though.
Well, no, because Rare made that.
Yeah, and Grant Kirkhope, if they were talking about music, it didn't go to Sony. So that's the only thing I would be worried about because Sony would be like, hey, look, dog, we gonna need about how much cash y'all got in the bank? 15 million in cash, 15 billion in cash. You're gonna need about 2 billion of that. If y'all want this soundtrack, I can see them doing that, but I don't. That's what I never understood why they won't do it, and they won't. And nobody ever asked them, hey, no journalists ever asked them like, are y'all ever gonna do the GameCube NSO? I just don't understand why they won't. Like,
honestly, I don't either because I know they could. Yeah. No, they could have with the Wii U, and the Wii U would have made more sense because it was still the same type of architecture.
And on top of that, they had all the other platforms, and you already had back compatibility with Wii, so that was the only thing that wasn't on there.
Yeah, they intentionally locked out the GameCube functionality.
Yeah, which and then couldn't find out they had a functionality for it. So you're like, wait a minute, y'all have functionality for it, and
they just locked it out.
Like, why? So
I mean, I guess it's just to say, hey, we can't guarantee everybody's going to have the controllers to be able to use it. I understand that.
Yeah, but then they started selling them.
But once y'all came out with the adapter, should have just gone ahead and fixed that in firmware and unlock it. Just let people use them.
Yeah, and I'd be surprised if there's one in the Switch as well. Like, yeah, we got it in there, but and before anybody says anything, no, not every GameCube game has been remastered. So please stop, because I had one dude trying to argue me down about that. I'm like, bro, every GameCube game has not been remastered for this. Like, no.
Well, people really don't know how extensive the library is for GameCube, I'm assuming.
GameCube had a very extensive library, bro.
Shoot. I kind of wish I would have had mine sitting back here, but like I don't see no custom Robo on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't see Skies of Arcadia anymore.
Well, that's on Sega.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't see Extreme G. I don't see F-Zero, GX. So for all the F-Zero people that
AX.
Yeah, for all the F-Zero people that swear they love F-Zero.
Liars.
Yeah. So I mean, everything hasn't been remade. Melee hasn't been remade. So
there's a whole lot that ain't been done. And we don't have the GameCube Animal Crossing.
No, we don't. Pokemon Coliseum.
Nope.
Any of the Star Fox Adventures, we don't have that.
Nope.
That hadn't been remade. So I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that hadn't been 1080 hadn't been remade.
Nope.
And Bandai Namco refuses to give the best version of Soul Calibur 2 to the fan base that made it popping.
Yeah, they definitely avoided that one for no good reason.
No good reason. Yeah, so I'm like, bro, like y'all every game hasn't been remade, so you can actually put games on there. And if they want, they can still put Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on there if they want to.
Yeah.
They could. I mean, because I'm one of those people that is petty. I'm telling Nintendo, don't bring Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to Switch. People don't deserve it. Don't bring Xenoblade Chronicles X either. Should have got a Wii U. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, if you let people talk you out of getting something, I have no sympathy for you.
It ain't my fault.
Yeah, it's not my fault. So, I mean, yeah, and another game I would love to get an actual HD remaster only because I want one part. Brawl. Give me HD
Subspace
Remaster Pro so I can play Subspace Emissary, man. I'm like, y'all can do that. That way I can actually play with I can play with my either 8-bit though or my GameCube controller. I mean, matter of fact, just do a Smash Brothers compilation and just put it on Switch.
No, I'm surprised. That's something that they haven't considered, but at the same
I am surprised as well because I would have thought they would have did that for what was it, the 20th anniversary? I thought they would have did that, put a compilation together. Because let's be real, those games ain't big like that. Well, from a standpoint of what we see now, I don't even think they hit 20 gigs. I don't think.
No.
So you'll probably have to use one of the 32 gig cartridges though, but yeah, I mean,
it would be worth it.
It'd be worth it. I ain't got no problem spending that. But I'm surprised they haven't done that. I really am. Like have one Melee, Brawl, and Ultimate on there. But then again, the 3DS version though, because nobody's gonna play the Smash Mario Party game. They're gonna be playing Smash Run.
I mean, hey, you put both of them on there. You put Smash for Wii U and for 3DS. Just put both of them.
Just add the Smash Run on there because it's basically the same game outside of Smash Run.
Yeah,
but I think more people play Smash Run than anything else.
Oh yeah, because Smash Run was like, it was the closest thing we was gonna get back to Subspace Emissary.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still trying to figure out why Sakurai used Piranha Plant instead of a Premit for a character.
I have no idea.
I wonder why. Like, was he really that mad about Waluigi? I'm making that up, by the way. Was he really that mad about Waluigi?
Oh man, I have no clue, but we will very likely not find out.
Yeah, we probably won't. We probably won't never find out. I think everybody hated the. I think everybody hated
the party game.
The party game part of that Smash. Because I actually liked the classic mode they did. I thought it was interesting how they did
the classic mode in the Wii U version of Smash 4 was actually better.
Yeah, it was actually very interesting how they did it. I actually kind of liked that. It was, you didn't know what to expect, and I actually kind of liked that. I actually did. Which actually brings me to the point of I'm wondering if, because we know we're getting another one. There's no way in the world Nintendo's not going to milk that. I'm wondering if they're going to bring trophies and stuff back. Because at this point, I mean, I understand why Sakurai left it out, because he was working on a shortened time, and he had to get like the thing done. But I would love for them to, like, once they figure out the roster and everything, I would love for them to bring the trophies back, because I actually like that. The trophy situation was actually pretty cool. But y'all also know I actually want an actual story mode, because World of Light wasn't it. That was just a glorified event mode. That's pretty much all World of Light was. And it kind of upset me a little bit, just because like it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought we was getting Nintendo's version of Infinity War, and we didn't get that.
I mean, that's what they advertised.
Yeah, we really didn't get that.
With Kirby being the lone survivor.
Yeah, and we just basically got a glorified event mode. We didn't actually get a story. We got a glorified event mode. So I wouldn't mind if they took that World of Light concept, but made it Subspace Emissary sequel.
I mean, I'd be up for it.
Yeah. So that's all that was. I still play the Wii U version from time to time. It's actually still fun. I just hate that Pro controller. I wish I could use my I love the Switch Pro controller better than the Wii U Pro controller. The Wii U Pro controller was just like basic, and I hated it. I freaking hated it.
Can I help you, little boy?
I will say this about leaks. It depends because sometimes I think companies put leaks out just to gauge interest
Mm.
because nobody ever gets fired. Now, if somebody gets fired, that's how you know it was a real leak. Because they're like, hey, look, y'all weren't supposed to know that. But if stuff gets out, and I always use the Sonic the Hedgehog. You notice nobody got fired over that, right?
Yeah, nobody got fired.
Nobody got fired over the Sonic the Hedgehog leak, which means that leak was probably done by somebody like, look, man, we got to change this, and we need a public uproar to do this. So just put it on out. I'll cover for everybody. Put it out. I'll cover for everybody.
Yeah, more than likely what happened.
Yeah. Because they probably had that one person on the board that was like, we're using my nephew's artwork. And they had to deal with it like,
well,
man,
we need to make Sonic look as human as possible. We know we don't want a human Sonic.
Yeah, we don't. Sandstorm, we did talk about Eternal Darkness. I for one would love to get that one. My only problem with Eternal Darkness was it was very much a product of its time, and I don't know if having to play that game 4 times through is going to work nowadays. Because to get the true ending, you had to play the game 4 times. You had to play it and beat it under each god.
Well, I mean,
and that
people play games now that are 120 hours to get the completion of the game. So Eternal Darkness having to do 4 runs. That don't
no, but
sound
you're not
bad.
doing but to do that, you're not playing the same thing over and over again though. That's the thing. Like you're not playing that same, like you're playing every chapter 4 times. Which is like, bro, because even me, I was like, even back then, I was like, I'm loving this game, but really, bro, the same guy again. I'm just under this guide. I'm like, okay, but I will say the true ending was fire. The true ending was fire.
I mean, hey, if it made it worth it, then it was worth doing.
Yeah, but I ain't do it again. So yeah. Meanwhile, I'm up to my 85th time of playing Ocarina of Time. So priorities. Priorities. Andre, I want to ask you something. So Wes Ball, who is directing the Zelda movie, keeps assuring fans that he's the biggest fan of the series and he's gonna do right by him and he's gonna do all this. Are you scared like I am?
A little bit cautious.
I'm seeing way too many people. Oh yes, see, it needs to be live action. I'm like, this ain't Lord of the Rings. And then he said this, and that would really set my spidey sense off. It needs to be grounded in realism.
No, it's a fantasy story. What do you mean grounded in realism? It's a fantasy story with a sword, a magical sword that can rid people of evil. What the
No. Here's the thing. Number one, my boy Link fights kaijus. That's essentially what he fights. He fights kaijus, and then he'll fight, maybe Dark Link if you decide to put him in there, and Ganondorf. Until Ganondorf turns into Ganon, which is another kaiju.
Well, depends on which version of Ganon we going with.
Some of
them are. Some of them are. Some of them are not.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, I am so scared right now. And everybody's like, yes. All I'm seeing is people like, yeah, this is what we want. I'm like, first of all, number one.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, number one, you're setting yourself up because number one, Zelda ain't Mario. It ain't making no $1 billion. I'm telling you that right now. Number two, the Zelda ain't as well known. Like a lot of Nintendo properties aren't as well known as people think they are. Nope. They're really not. Like I love Metroid. It probably need to be animated first because that game don't make money like that. Zelda, I've said this before. Zelda should have been an anime first because people don't know the lore, they don't know the story, and if Hollywood this, Zelda's a strong, independent woman that doesn't need a man for anything. I'm like, she can't beat Ganondorf head up. She needs help. No, she's strong and independent, and she doesn't need that. I'm like, bruh, I don't know.
Now
No.
that is something I am worried about. If they decide that they're just going to make Zelda go fight Ganondorf by herself,
And
that is something
Ganondorf
I'm
lose.
worried about.
I'm like, wait, what? So, yeah. Well, Yin Zelda is the weakest compared to Ganondorf because she's OP.
Why is
But
it on the floor?
if it's her against Ganondorf is he it's a squash match. They both even linked to an extent. That's why in the latter games from like Ocarina of Time on, it's always been Link and Zelda versus Ganondorf. It's always been that.
The biggest problem is that he does what both of them do individually.
Yeah, and he better than them, and it don't help that he has a Triforce of Power backing him up. So I am so concerned right now. I'm just like, bro, I ain't even seen a cast list yet, and I'm just like, I am so scared. I am so scared.
In the franchise overall, I would still put if we're going based upon power, then Zelda is more powerful than Link.
Yeah,
but if we're going based upon skill, in some situations, Link is more skilled than Zelda.
Yeah.
So I mean, it depends on that.
I look at it like this because and the other thing too is Zelda and Link change so much with each iteration because it's a different version of them. Tetra is a pirate. So that Zelda in Wind Waker is a pirate. Zelda in Twilight Princess will slit your throat because she's a fighter.
And won't think about it.
And won't think twice about it. Zelda in Breath of the Wild is a scholar. She's not a fighter.
Nope.
So it depends. And but as far as like you said, as far as power is concerned, yes, Zelda in every timeline, as far as power is concerned, she's way stronger than Link. That's what I'm saying. If you play the game with Zelda, the way they have her set up, she breathes through it until you get to Ganon.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. So and that's lore. Well, let's go if you go by the lore. That's how I know people ain't played the game when they keep saying they want Zelda to wield the Master Sword. Like, no, y'all haven't been paying attention to this dog.
She's not meant to wield.
She's not meant to do that. Like, she has her own weapon, the bow. She's not meant to wield that sword. That's not her. You know what? I don't have time. So, and even in Ocarina, she is ninja because she was trained to be that. So it's one of those situations where it can easily be done good and it can easily go left. And
that's what he meant. He was talking about as the franchise itself is doing.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Look, I misinterpreted it too. Yeah, so I'm thinking that. Yeah, out of Mario, Pokemon, and Zelda would definitely be the weakest. As far as franchises go.
Yeah. Because it just started making money like that. Like they've always been profitable-ish, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom was where they started making way more than they usually do.
Yeah.
Because normally that's how I also know, like, everybody ain't played this game series, bro. You sit up here and talk. And me and Mr. T said this years ago. And I want y'all to know this. Every time a director or a writer comes out and says they the biggest fan of insert whatever, that be the worst movie you could ever have seen that year. Case in point, 2014's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I rest my case. 2008's Street Fighter: Legend of Chun-Li. I rest my case.
Oh, I knew that was going to be horrible.
Dragon
I remember seeing the trailer.
Evolution.
Don't you dare talk about that garbage.
I rest my case.
But look, at least in the case of that, dude came out and apologized and said,
he apologized later.
I was wrong.
Yeah. So, and this has never been, and dude, it's just been like that. Every time we have a director or a writer come out and say they the biggest fan of this, and they gonna do right by the fans, that movie is one of the worst movies of that year. I still stand by. They probably should have animated it. It probably should have been an animated series first to get people, used to the series, and then if it gets popular like that, then do a live action. I say the same thing about Metroid. Do an animated series first, see how people respond to it. Then, if you want to do a live action, because that's gonna cost you a lot of money, because you're gonna have to do a lot of CG. I would just animate it, but that's just me. Some people feel like if you animate it, it's not they can't connect with it. Whatever.
I mean, it's a fantasy story. If you ain't gonna connect with a fantasy story, you ain't gonna be able to connect through it no matter
live
what
action anyway, because it's not supposed to be real. Like I said, when he said that, I'm like, okay, I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried. I am just worried. And the thing about Legend of Zelda is they have manga for it.
Yeah, like, they do.
Manga that came to the States, manga. Now Metroid has manga as well, but they ain't came to the States. So
Zodia?
Yeah, Zodia, but they never came out and said they were the biggest fan of. They just did the job. I'm talking about people who come out and said that I am the biggest fan of X, Y, and Z, and they came out and said that, and then that movie was the worst movie that year, or one of them.
Typically, when somebody comes out and say, I am a big fan of this, and I'm going to make sure I do it right, and they're trying to use that as a boasting point, it backfires.
Okay, you know what? I got a perfect one. X-Men Dark Phoenix. Simon Kinberg comes out and says he's one of the biggest fans of the Dark Phoenix saga.
That was
I rest my case.
and this is also the same person that, if I remember correctly, wouldn't let his actors
read the
comics.
Yeah.
Like, how are they supposed to connect to the characters if you don't let them connect to the source material?
That is the source material. So,
and I'm glad Hugh Jackman ignored that shit. He's like, nah, fuck that. I'm reading up on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. So, I have a soft spot for the X-Men. That's my favorite comic, and I hate those Fox movies. So,
yeah, I do too.
mean, yeah, they've made a couple of good ones, and I'm not even talking about the Wolverine stuff and Deadpool. I'm talking about the actual X-Men movies. They made a couple of decent ones, but they are not X-Men movies. They're Wolverine and the rest of these guys.
Oh crap! That just made me think of that dang X-Men Origins movie.
Wolverine and the rest of these guys.
And then the Wolverine one where you had Deadpool without a mouth.
Yep.
It just made no sense. Like, how you gonna take his one thing from him?
I am so glad that Ryan Reynolds killed that dude in Deadpool 2. I am so glad he did that.
Like, we're making this canon.
I shot this dude in the head. Like, shot him dead in the head. During the post-credit scene, I'm like, thank you, Ryan Reynolds. You are awesome. I needed that. That was catharsis.
I mean, but then again, he also went back and killed himself before filming Green Lantern,
which I also thought was funny.
I was like, that was.
But the funny thing about
too much.
The funny thing about it was he looks at the camera and says, "You're welcome," and walks off. I'm like, man, you dead wrong for that, but I'm laughing too hard to care. So. Yeah,
now this is making me wish that the MCU would let Spider-Man age up so we can have a Deadpool Spider-Man buddy movie, because they've had this Deadpool Spider-Man buddy comics.
Yeah, and that comic is actually not bad. Like the comic runs they've had have not, especially the one they did a couple years ago where somebody hired him to kill Peter Parker. Somebody hired him to kill Peter Parker, but him and Spider-Man finally realized that he's actually not a bad guy. He's just annoying, and they was hanging out, and he actually started having fun, hanging out with him. So that whole limited series was hilarious because there's just stuff in there that they did. So I am cautiously optimistic. I want the Zelda movie to be good. I just didn't. I'm one of those people that's like, look, it shouldn't have been live action off the rip, and I don't trust. Then this director, I don't trust. Now he does have. He is the director of uh this new Planet of the Apes movie that's coming out. So I may go see that, and if it's good, then maybe it'll help me change my opinion because I did not like the Maze Runner movies, but we shall see.
Zolia, there are going to be outliers. That doesn't mean that it's okay. We're talking about what's more consistent.
Dude, I didn't say. I didn't. I said when there are
Peter Jackson. I don't remember Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson never came out and said that.
Mouth.
No, I'm
until
talking
after the movies came out.
Yeah, I'm talking about people who have came out and said that during press tours and all that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people who've never said it or you found out about it later, or because like I said, plenty of the MCU movies, like you said, were directed by fans of the comics, but they didn't come out and be like, I'm the biggest fan. They didn't say that. They just directed the movie.
Okay, like the more recent Star Wars movies. Everybody came out and kept talking about how they were hugely fans of the franchise, and then they kind of just ruined it. And then when fans of the franchises that didn't run their mouth came out and started creating content for it, it turned out to be good. That's what we talk about. It shouldn't be a boastful thing to say you're a fan of something because that's only to draw people in and get them hyped. Make the product and then talk about how much you love it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I've seen when people say that, and then like the examples I gave, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014.
That was not one of the better ones.
Street Fighter: Legend of Chun-Li. And y'all can go ask Mr. T. Me and Mr. T did a whole podcast about that. Whole podcast about that. About how every time somebody says something like that, it turns around and it's like, what in the world? Just be quiet and work on it. Just be quiet and work on it. That's all it was. Just be quiet and work on it.
And I think a lot of the pre-hype and like that also does get people hopes up because then they're thinking they're going to get this extremely amazing product,
and they don't get it.
It comes out mediocre.
Yeah, because right now I'm sitting there thinking when he said grounded, I'm like, Zelda should not be grounded in nothing but Hyrule. It should not be grounded in no real. What are you talking about, dude?
At that point, I would rather like who was it that when Netflix said that they were trying to do it and it was going to be like Game of Thrones. I'd rather that be the situation than to have someone tell me how much of a fan they are or something.
Yeah, because that just scares me because I've been in the theater. I was in the theater for Street Fighter: Legend of Chun-Li. I'm like, Michael Clark Duncan, what are you doing?
I refused to see that movie.
I'm like,
I refused to watch that movie. I refused and will not.
And had the unmitigated gall to say, "Oh, at the end of the movie, there's this tournament that's happening with these two guys named Ken and Ryu something." You know what, man? I want my money back. Pretty much.
It's too late.
Yeah. I sat in there and watched the whole movie. I'm like, I can't believe they did this. At the writer and the director, like, oh, we saw that '94 movie, and our movie is more in line with what's going on, and we are real fans. We didn't. That was just. It was very much a product of its time, but it's just not. It doesn't hold up. Dude, that 1994 Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is an Oscar winner compared to that mess I saw in 2008.
Well, yep, Sandstorm, you did say the thing that would make the most sense.
Yes, and that's why I'm cautiously optimistic. That's the only reason why I'm cautiously optimistic. But I'm still scared.
Still scared. Nintendo did give their seal of approval to the Super Mario Brothers movie, though.
And we're not talking about the one from last year. We're talking about the one from '89. So I'm concerned about Yeah, that would get me concerned. I'm cautiously optimistic, Zodia. I'm cautiously optimistic. That's all I'm saying. I'm cautiously optimistic
Not
because
saying it's automatically going to be
yeah,
bad. It's just a particular sign that something may not turn out the way people think it's going to turn out.
I'm keeping my expectations in check. I've seen so many people like, oh, this is gonna be the best thing ever. It's gonna be Lord of the Rings all over. I'm like, dude, stop doing that. Stop doing that. That's what I'm saying. Keep your expectations in check.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was yeah. I think the Super Mario Brothers movie was '93.
Super Mario movie '93.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, yeah. Teen. I forgot all about that. The people that did Teen Titans Go talked about how big a fan they were of the series.
Oh yeah,
I completely forgot about that. And then they did Teen Titans Go.
and that, bruh, and that was so different from Teen Titans. Like, bro, what?
Remember the dude that played Slade didn't want to reprise that role for that
Yeah,
because he saw what the scripts were. He said, "No, I'm not doing
yeah,
it." It's almost like but well, I can't say Thundercats Go because at that point they were already saying they
yeah.
basically didn't give a damn about the fans.
Yeah, they really
They
did
didn't
that,
care.
and that was after like that awesome 2011 show with from Studio 4 Degrees. So
Mm,
yeah, that was kind of yeah. It was '93. My bad. Super Mario was '93. Street Fighter was '94.
yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Teen Titans Go. Lord have mercy.
Mm.
I just did. No, I will say this though. I did go back and watch that movie they did. That was funny. That was especially the Stan Lee cameo because a lot of people didn't know Stan Lee had worked at DC for a couple of years. So the Stan Lee cameo was funny. But I was like, yeah, this ain't like after seeing Teen Titans for what they did for those 4 years, where it was like fire, and they go to Teen Titans Go, you're like, what?
It's a drop off. It's a
Yeah,
definite drop. But then again, Teen Titans Go was, if anything, it was meant to be a self parody, but
it,
they you wouldn't have thought that at first when they
yeah.
talked about it.
The way they brought it up, they made you think it was an extension to an extent, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't. But yeah, I tend to be a little bit cautious when I hear directors and writers say that. I just do because I watch a lot of movies and a lot of TV, and I'm just like, bruh. Every time I hear this goes sideways. It always goes sideways, and I want it to be good. And if you start talking, we start talking about grounded in realism with a fantasy series, that's kind of worrisome, I would think.
Mm.
So
It can be.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's automatically going to be bad because we do know
no,
that Nintendo is going to be sitting over top of it and trying
yeah,
to do quality checks for it.
yeah,
But it's just also people can get super hyped by somebody saying something like that. Oh yeah, he one of us. That means it's going to be good. Then
yeah.
they don't get what they expect.
And then you have to deal with months and months and months of y'all just didn't understand it.
Like now, that
Okay.
was the.
Yeah.
And it could
So
also be bad for the reputation of the series, also
yeah,
because if this doesn't go well, then that could translate negatively when the next game comes out. So
yeah,
it's another reason I worry about it.
yeah. Because once again, like the series, the series up until Breath of the Wild, it wasn't a big money maker for Nintendo, despite popular belief. I mean, it's so good in the States. It didn't really sell that good in Japan.
No, it never really sold well in Japan.
Um, it did okay in Europe, depending on which game it was. Because I think Wind Waker didn't do well. Twilight Princess did.
Yeah.
I think Majora's Mask was like kind of, sort of okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like the thing about Super Mario Brothers. Mario is probably one of the most well-known mascots on the face of the planet.
At
So
this point, the most well known.
yeah, I'm like Mario and Mickey are like this as far as like people know what the jingle is for Mario. Like they know it. So it's not. It's one of those situations where like you knew that movie was gonna kind of do well just because people like, oh, I know that. I can take my kids to go see that. You kind of knew that. Did I expect it to make $1 billion? No, I did not. I didn't. But I thought it was going to do okay. You know, I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to make the money because it is Mario. Zelda, I'm a little bit more concerned about because once again, I'm a massive Zelda fan, but I also am a massive movie fan, and I'm sitting here like people don't know Zelda like that. People don't know Zelda, Star Fox, Metroid, Kid Icarus like that.
No, they really don't.
So that's why I am, concerned about it. That's what I'm saying. I'm cautiously optimistic. And that's why I kind of really just want him to work on it and stop talking because I'm like, bro, you're not helping. You're really not helping. Because everything you're saying is like what I hear other people saying. Those movies did not turn out well.
That makes me wonder though, what has got him worried that he has to come out and say that?
Well, he got asked it. He got asked this last one came when he got asked on the press tour for Planet of the Apes. He got asked for. He got asked.
Somebody put him in position where he had to say something.
Well, he could have said like, "Look, we still working everything out." Yeah, I would have tried to bring the focus back to Planet of the Apes. So that's what's coming out now. That's what I would have did. I wouldn't even said nothing like that, But once again, that's just me. I mean, he handled it the way he handled it. I'm just like yeah. Y'all get where I'm coming from. But that's that. All right, folks, we're gonna wrap this one up. Y'all will be proud of me this time. I actually looked at the calendar before I start the podcast. Mother's Day is next Sunday, so we're not gonna have a podcast next Sunday.
Yeah, we will be off.
We will be off next Sunday. Just because we do have Mother's Day, y'all need to spend time with your mama. So make sure you take out to dinner, all the other good stuff. And we'll be back the following Sunday, which will be. I can't believe my calendar. I put my calendar away. The following Sunday, which will be the 19th.
19th, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be back May 19th. But hope you guys have a nice next Sunday off and all that other good stuff. Andre, anything you want to pimp out?
I mean, I did drop a couple videos. And I did do. What was that? I'm looking at my stuff. I'm getting all mixed up. Oh yeah. Did the game I did Foundry Talk with Jay this past Thursday for Chorus, for a game for Chorus. And I am 6 pages deep in on the script for the cross zone for this coming Thursday. So hopefully people that will watch will be very interested in the combination of Mega Man X and Cash Earned Sins. And that's all I got to say.
Oh man, I need to go back and watch Cash Earned Sins. I love that anime. That anime was so good, man.
I'm 6 pages in. I'm sitting here like, man, and I still got stuff I want to write into it. So expect a long video.
I'm interested in hearing about that just because, like, I can see where you could probably go with that. So I'm actually interested.
There's too many different routes to go, but I think I picked a good spot for it to fit and for it to make sense. And a lot of things I'm going to be throwing in there will hopefully make sense to a lot of people once they hear my explanations. But hey, we'll see.
All right.
And maybe Capcom will steal this one too.
They'll put it in Exoprimal.
Ouch.
So me and Vicky did our episode 8 review of X-Men 97, so check that out. If you haven't been watching X-Men 97, it's very good. I cannot recommend that one enough. That is a very well done show, especially if you like the animated series from the 90s. I think you'll love this one. This is a true continuation of the series. So We just did our episode 8 review, so please check that one out. I don't really have any plans this coming week. I'm probably going to work on my reviews of Tales of Kenzera and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I was supposed to have those done, but real life got in the way, so I'm going to try to get those done as well. At least the blog post, at least. So yeah, that'll be ready to go. And don't forget to the Black Box Stream Awards round 2 starts tomorrow. So the voting starts for round 2 tomorrow. So please go vote. Link is in the description of this channel. So please go vote. You can also find a link in our Discord, and we are up for Chatterbox Award. So the Wingin Podcast is up for an award. So we did get nominated. So please go vote. Other than that, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace out. Have a good one, people.
Peace.